In this episode, I sit down with the owners of Blaylock's Whiskey Bar. This is Headphones Recommended. All right, Michael Shipley with Headphones Recommended. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sitting down with the owners of Blaylock's Whiskey Bar. I've got Michael Angeletta, Corey Tubner, and Ben Thompson with me. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thanks.
So let's start at the beginning. Michael, we're going to start with you. Your episode number 1. Where were you before Blaylock's? What were you doing? What's the story?
My trade is working in software and tech, so I have almost no knowledge of bars or whiskey. I do have some knowledge of starting businesses, though.
Yeah. So was it your field before?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
And so specifically, like, what were you doing? What was your job?
My job, and I still do this job actually, is I run marketing for a company based in Paris, France.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. A little flex. Paris.
Exactly. That's my
Nice.
commute.
All right. And so, where did your commute? Where did the idea for Blaylock's come from?
It came from my friend Seth Howard. He'd been talking
Hey,
about.
Seth.
Yes. And he'd been talking about it for about 2 years. And at one point, we were sitting down having a drink. Said, "Let's do it. Let's just go do it." And for me, I get a lot of gratification from just building and starting a new business. It's the challenge and the fun of building something from scratch, where you have an idea on a napkin and actually making it reality.
Yeah. And so you've started businesses before.
I have, for better and worse. Yeah.
For better.
Some succeeded, some didn't work so well.
Yeah.
This one's better. Yes, definitely better.
So just for a little bit perspective, like how many ventures? Like, what number venture is this for you? A lot of people come into this and they think, you know what, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do my shit. I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be a wild success. They want to end the game with a score of 1-0, right? So, what number venture is this for you?
If I'm including the bad memories, I'd say probably about 6. This would be my 6th venture, yeah.
Yeah, but each one of those is gaining a lesson and learning something from it and carrying it from it, right? And so that's I was talking with the gentleman before we started, right? With Ben and Corey before we started, and talking about like how you've got a bit of a dream team in here. And I think that level of experience that you brought in ahead of time was probably one of the... That's definitely one of the factors that I think has led to like the success of this business as a whole.
Without
right?
a doubt.
Awesome.
Without a doubt. I mean, the wisdom these two guys bring to the table, respectively. Corey, he's a genius with cocktails. Ben is a librarian and has so much wisdom about every whiskey in the world.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it without those two guys.
Awesome. So, Blaylock's is now an idea on the timeline where we're at right now. It's an idea. What were your next steps? What were the things you had to go through?
And this is where I get excited. This is my fun part. Basically, I know how to start a business only one way, and it's the way I've always done it in tech and software, right? Mm-hmm. Can that apply to a bar and whiskey? And I guess it can. So did a business plan, did a financial model, built an advisory board. Corey was one of our first advisors. He was my favorite bartender. I'd always go to the Astoria Coffee House and Bistro. And I said, man, he makes amazing cocktails. It would be great to have his advice when we build our cocktail menu. So I said, Corey, do you want to help join our advisory board? And he kindly said yes. And Dwayne over at Bridge and Tunnel was kind enough to help us get some insight on the local area here. He told us, what does a Friday look like? What does a Saturday look like? What does a summer versus a winter look like in this corner of the world with Reach Break and the Cider Works? We had Phil Spencer. He was our chef advisor. He's over at Smoked Bones. He's got some amazing culinary chops. And then Misha over at Street 14, who helped on the business side of things. So that's how it started. It was just, okay, there's this idea on a napkin. Now let's make it reality. Let's see, what is our roadmap to actually building this thing out? So the business plan, the financial model, getting advisors, great. Now we've got our team and we've got our plans. Now we have to obviously execute.
Yeah. And
then you need to have some money to execute too. So I actually went to a lot of friends and friends of friends, asking them to be interested in investing in a bar.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly what people would say is the best investment, right? It's
no. There's plenty of them that are open and then immediately closed,
So what they say, I guess you tell any of your investors who are going to invest in your bar is just be prepared to lose it. It's a bar. The good thing with a bar is if you're successful, you can get a nice return. So I was fortunate enough to have a lot of people believe in the idea and the team to give us a good portion of the startup funding. And the rest came from myself and some from Seth. And we got the funding, and then we put together the team to build it.
Yeah.
And in Astoria, it's really hard to do that, to get contractors, because they have a million other jobs that they can choose from.
Yeah, no hate to you contractors out there. It's just that you're all so wonderful and you're all so busy. That's what it is,
You're
right?
also wanted.
Yeah, and wanted. So just in case I invite any of you to come on an episode later, we love you. So go ahead.
So I can keep geeking out. It was fun putting together the pieces. So we got Susie over at Chariot Home to help us with the design. Most of her jobs have all been in Portland and Seattle, so this was her first chance to shine here.
Yeah.
So we came to Susie with some ideas, right? We had a document saying, this is what Blaylock's, the personality would be like. If you sat down and wanted to have a beer with Blaylock's, this is what it would feel like. You know, it's classy but humble and real and so on and so forth. And then she took all those ideas and was able to turn it into a kind of a mock-up.
Yeah.
And she gave us a couple of choices. One looked like a Havana, Cuba cigar bar, which was kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
Didn't really fit what we were trying to do here. And we obviously chose a different direction. And that's what you see here today.
That's for our future TV lounge.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, no, a lot of folks, like I hear, like I talk to businesses and I talk to individuals who are like, you know, yeah, I've got this vision for this space. Classy but humble seems like it's something that may be a little difficult to capture, but I think you guys got it in here. For anybody who hasn't been in to the actual shop, the bar's gorgeous. I mean, just the entire feel of the spot, like it just feels cozy and unassuming, but still like it just has that level of class to it too that I just dig.
Well, I think
awesome.
the thing that also makes it humble is the friendly service that these guys provide, right?
Yeah.
It would be very easy to, grow a twirly mustache and have your nose up in the air, and that's not what we wanted to do here.
Yeah.
And that's the roots of Astoria, too. I mean, the roots of Astoria is working class, and that's one of the things we try to do is have a homage and a nod to the history of this place. So that's why we've got maritime, that's why we've got logging, that's why we have an elk there, and that's why you see all the pictures here are true historical pictures from the local area.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So at this point, so we go back into the timeline. Did you look at multiple spaces? Did you just land on this one and say this is going to be it?
We got really lucky.
Yeah.
This space had been sitting empty for almost 3 years, I think, and before that it was a travel agency.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures online. This place was a vanilla, boring ass office.
Kind of hard to imagine.
The transformation is incredible in here. Absolutely.
Yeah. I still can't quite believe what it looks like now compared to what it was. I couldn't see it. I didn't have this. You know, Susie, the designer, she could see it. It's like, don't worry about it. It's like, how can we possibly transform this place? But we got really lucky. The timing was just so when a previous prospect for this place fell through, and we happened to be asking at just the right time. And the ownership of the building was just in transition, so we got lucky there as well.
Yeah.
And this building has the history and the bones of something special. So it's not just a kind of a row building somewhere let's just say I like this building.
Yes, this building, for those of you who haven't been on over here, the building genuinely does have character inside and out. And that was like, inside you guys did an absolute number in here. So you've got the building, you are experience any difficulties, you know, like...
None at all.
No. And remind me to look up sarcasm on Google later. So what kind of roadblocks did you find?
Yeah, so a lot of them are the usual roadblocks you'd expect. I will say there was an obsession to open by summer, because summer is when all the tourists come into town.
Yeah.
That's when the business hits full swing. So come hell or high water, the goal was let's open this place in summer.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot more stress than maybe if you didn't have it time boxed. We went over budget a little bit. So as everything goes, you know, like this double-sided fireplace turned into a hellacious job. No contractor wanted to install it, first of all. So just to find somebody to do it. And then going through, we're going to do gas, we're going to do electric, all these little decisions, but they all have a time frame. And then you make a decision on fireplace, and then it never arrives. And then you call the supplier, where is it? And they said, we shipped it, but we never got it. And then you lose a month there. Or a door, which arrives broken. And then it's 2-month backlog. So those are the things you can't, like in the digital world, you just move a virtual box.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fix a problem. Here, you've got to wait for, physical hard goods to arrive. And that could be months out. So we lost some time and went over budget a little bit.
But you got through that.
We did.
Right? And now you're getting ready. You're ready to open the doors, right? Corbin, when did you guys come in?
I guess they probably got a hold of me in boy, I was going to say February or March.
January, February. It was early.
Yeah, it was really early.
We just
in the
had a
process.
business plan, I think, at the time.
And they just asked me to put together like 6 or 8 kind of classic cocktails to go along with their old world, what we call old world classic whiskey bar cocktails, and to make a new world menu that was just kind of a twist on those and something kind of playful and interesting that would bring your old school whiskey drinkers to the bar and go, oh, well, this is the one I'm used to, but these look interesting and cool, so let's try one of these. And then eventually it just became consulting, went to working here instead. And then I think Ben was actually probably contacted before I was.
I don't know. I was I'd heard rumors about this whiskey bar going to open in town because I was working at Fort George before that, and I really was interested more in whiskey. And there's nothing here in town really that was whiskey based. So I heard this rumor, and I was with a friend at Street 14 having breakfast. Just talked to my friend like, oh, this whiskey bar, and suddenly the person sitting next to me reached over. He's like, oh, excuse me, you talking about the whiskey bar? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, my name's Seth, and introduced himself. It was one of the owners at the time, Seth, and talked to him, told him like my history in whiskey and stuff, and maybe 3-4 weeks later he contacted me like, oh, hey, do you want to work for us when we open? So it was a perfect time to get in. Now, as far as using some of my whiskey knowledge, they didn't bring me in to help curate the collection at first. Actually, my first job here was they brought me in and said, okay, we have these 125 Scotch whiskeys for the menu, or not 100. We have 125 whiskeys for the menu. We need you to help pare it down, get that number down to 100. So my first job was actually to get rid of whiskey, which is heartbreaking, but it was a test to get me in. So now I can build it back up. So.
And when you're and it's what's the whiskey collection at now?
Almost at 200.
Almost 200.
Almost 200.
Yeah.
Wow.
We started with 100. So.
Yeah. And so now, Ben, when you were picking the different whiskeys, right? Did you keep in mind like the lower end, higher end, or was it like, we just want the greatest selection possible?
Well, the first 100, I really wasn't too much of a part of setting it up. Seth and Michael had kind of figured that out, but then in the discussion of what we cut down to get to 100, we talked a lot about Astoria and what whiskey would mean here and what people would know about whiskey, because Astoria is not like a whiskey capital. People here don't know as much about it necessarily, but they're interested in it. So we talked about price points. We tried to start with stuff that people would know, especially Scotch history, or Scotch whiskey was more my forte, what I know about. So we talked about keeping the names, keeping the numbers, like the ages, like what people would recognize or know to start with. And then we kind of, from there, we've kind of grown it in different directions to like bring in stuff that we'd want to introduce to people that we can like get people excited about. Like, here's where to start, but now let's take you on this trip. Let's take you on this adventure. Let's go here.
Yeah, we've definitely moved more towards educational whiskey bar and less of the, there's that name I know.
Right. Yeah. Trying to get people off that habit. Like, start there, good, but then you like that. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this whiskey from Welsh. Let's talk about the Taiwanese whiskey. Let's move in these directions.
Yeah. Wow. I want to get into that more.
Yeah.
I do. But let's get back. Okay, so now, you've got the dream team set up. Right, we've got master bartender, we've got whiskey and Scotch expert. We're ready to go. You open the doors. What's that first day like?
That was friends and family day.
Yeah, that's right. That was It was funny. How many people were friends and family day? There weren't even that many people, right?
More friends than I have. That's for sure.
But it was a smaller group, maybe 20 people, and it was our private launch, right? Because we knew we were going to screw stuff up. I mean, it's inevitable, right? We've got to break this place in, and it was a tough night, actually, all things considered. But you'd expect it.
Yeah. Once you've been working in a bar for a while, it's just like kind of second nature of like, there's something over here, I need it, I picked it up, I don't even have to look at it. It's just I know where it is. Yeah. First day at a new bar is like,
it's like cooking in a new kitchen.
Everything.
Yeah.
And when I say tough night, it really was. They actually did great. It's just relative to when we actually did the grand opening, when we had a shit ton of people here, and they rocked it, and it was like a perfect night.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of ironic that it was great that we ironed out all those kinks on the friends and family night, and then we did a soft launch night as well, where we invited VIPs, whomever that might be in the community, to come, and so they came, they had a good time. We did feedback cards every night, and we got all smiley faces, so we said, okay, we must be going down the right path. Either that, they're just being really nice to us.
I stopped listening to you as soon as you said that you invited VIPs, and I don't remember getting my invite, and so the rest of this interview, I could really care less about now. So I really could. I can do two shits. Okay, but so what are the dates for those?
So we did
family night. night, soft open, and hard
June
open.
15th.
Yeah, well, family night was a
15th.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
and then we did the soft
Whiskey
private
Wednesday.
launch on Thursday, and then we took Friday off. I
Right.
think we all ended up at the Liberty Theater watching Blind Pilot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that weekend.
Just resting up, getting ready for the big day.
Which was Saturday.
And I'm
15th.
curious to hear your guys' story. So on Saturday, I didn't know if anybody was going to show up. Honestly, it just went to the worst possible place. Man, is anybody going to show up? My girlfriend was here in town, so she was bearing witness to my stress level. And so I took out a bunch of Facebook ads, thinking I got to do something. I got to do something. I need to turn a lever to have some control. And so I kept submitting these Facebook ads, and none of them would get approved. And every hour I'd look and I'd do another ad, pending.
Yes.
And with it's Facebook, big company, can't do anything about it.
No.
Right? And so
No, you leave your offering at the altar, and then you just wait.
Right, and you
for,
wait.
for Lord Zucks
Yeah.
to bless you. Yeah, okay.
And I'm asking my girlfriend, hey, do you think it's because we're alcohol business? Are they waiting to approve it? Is it extra hurdles we have to go through? What's going on here? And I think when all was said and done, I'd submitted 7 ads, and none of them were approved. And so at that point, I'm printing out something last minute on the printer. I should have been here already. You guys were already here, and I got a text message from a friend, an investor. He said, "You need to get your ass down here. Your place is slammed." And I said, "Seriously?" He said, "Seriously, get down here now." That was my deep sigh of relief. And I got here, and there was a line out the door.
Nice.
So how about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, that first week was a whirlwind. I think we were open from noon until like 11 o'clock every night for like the first few weeks or so.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like we kind of lived here for a while, and it was good. It was a lot of people that we're used to seeing, and then also a whole lot of new faces too, which is great in a new bar.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily remember the first.
I know.
It's all a blur.
Just a
But we
blur.
just did it. Yeah.
Did we pregame a little beforehand? Maybe a little bit. It would have made sense.
Well, to Corey's point, we were open a long time.
Yeah.
We opened really early and stayed open later because we didn't know, when are people going to come here?
Yeah.
So let's be open longer than we know we're eventually going to be open, just to figure it out,
start,
figure out the
It
patterns.
took us a few months to finally be like, okay, knock that one back, and don't be open at noon on Sundays. That's it's Kids and Dogs Day, not whiskey afternoon apparently. That was it was fun. It was good trying to work out the kinks and just see how people received us. It was great, and we were received very well, I think.
Very well, yeah.
That's awesome.
And
So,
I didn't know Corey before we opened this, so we've been at the bistro as a Fort George, so then to just suddenly be thrown into this crazy mix with pretty much just the two of us running the operation at the time was just, but it worked out really well.
Yeah.
I want to get more into that in just a moment. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. I want to hear more about your guys' experience, like behind the bar. I want to hear more about growth for the business, and then also what's the future look like? Do you guys have future plans? So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm still sitting down with a gentleman from Blaylock's Whiskey Bar. So, Corey and Ben specifically, I want to talk a little bit more about what's your experience behind the bar, running it. You guys talked about when you started out, it's just the two of you. You guys were swamped those first few weeks. What was that experience like?
Well, still just the two of us. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, or it wasn't overwhelming, but it was definitely kind of a new experience just to be everything.
Yeah.
I think everywhere else I've worked, I was pretty much at least working with 4 other people at a time, at least a chef and a host and a barista, and then me as a bartender and a waiter. So when it's just me and Ben running things, it definitely feels like it could get out of hand, but it never has.
The size of the space really limits how many people can be in here at one time, so it really kind of self-regulates itself to what's going on.
Crowd controlled by
square footage. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, Ben, you were named bartender.
Corey.
Corey, sorry. Yes,
Sorry.
Corey. You were named bartender of, Reader's Choice bartender for how many years?
I think it is 4 years now.
A million.
Yeah, go ahead. Humble brag.
It's
Yeah.
a dawn of time.
And so it's not even like you came in as this experienced bartender, one that individuals really enjoyed, that you did a great job, everything was good there. and still like just happen to be able to take over this on your own, like manning that station and hitting all those folks at the same time. Still overwhelming?
No, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming. It's never really been overwhelming to me. Like, I remember the first couple of weeks, Michael would come in and go, "How do you feel being on stage behind the bar there?" And it's like, I don't know, it's second nature to me at this point. Yeah, I mean, at the coffee house, it was pretty much the same setup where I was in like a horseshoe-shaped bar and people on all sides. So there's no way to get away from anybody or have a private moment to yourself. I got to go get some liquor in the back. But yeah, no, it's just kind of what I'm used to. I started, well, not bartending, but I started in the restaurant industry when I was about 15 years old. I was going up to Clatsop Community College for my last couple of years of high school and started busing, and I started waiting, and then started bartending under Rich Ewing over at the what's it called? The Inferno Lounge. He was kind of like my sensei there, along with Mark Thompson, who's, I believe, now the art teacher here in Astoria High School. So a couple of really great guys that kind of gave me a great introduction into bartending and customer service on the bar end of things. So yeah, it just my evolution in bartending has just been kind of one of trying to find what Astorians like, which this is definitely a whiskey-heavy town, which works great for us. Gin and vodka are right up there. We don't have a whole lot of tequila or rum drinkers, and so that's usually what my menu focuses on is whiskey and gin and vodka, the few of the others thrown in there. I like to do my own infusions. I try to, find interesting liquors that you don't usually find at most bars, and then maybe use them in a way that you wouldn't even expect. Yeah,
and I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment. For those who don't know, can you explain what an infusion is?
So basically taking a neutral grain spirit and then adding, fresh, in my case, local ingredients from places like Pat's Pantry, amazing spice shop here right in town.
Shout out Pat's.
Also like Gypsy's Whimsy, she's got amazing like teas and herbs and stuff that I can really kind of find that little odd thing that really bumps up the flavor or makes somebody go, "What is that? Why does that remind me of my childhood?" Or "What is this?" It's just that that little bit of chamomile or whatever it is.
It's flavored with the disappointment of my parents.
Yes, exactly.
So that's definitely got the childhood.
Yeah.
So, just kidding. By the way, they were great. They were great. They still are. Awesome. And do you offer for those of you who are watching the video, we've got the wall of whiskey behind us. Are those infusions? Are they offered on over here and available?
Yeah. So right now I have a coconut fat washed bourbon, a thyme liquor, a espresso infused rum, vanilla vodka, hibiscus liquor. Let's see what else. Peanut butter bourbon. Cinnamon bourbon.
Peanut butter bourbon.
So we had some people coming in for a couple weeks and asking us for this thing called Screwball, which is basically very sweet, very artificial flavored whiskey. Sorry, Screwball, I'm not a fan.
Exactly. But a new peanut butter whiskey that people came in asking about crazy. So we thought, well, let's just try.
I'll just make my own. I mean, I've done so many infusions before. It's like peanut butter. That's not a problem. That's an easy one. Anything with an oil in it is going to infuse into a liquor very easily.
Really, and so it just literally just breaks down. It just disintegrates into the alcohol.
I still have to take out the solids, but you'll see it right there. It's the one on the far left, or not quite far left, a little orangey looking one, two to your left. Yeah. So you can see it's got some solids at the bottom and a little bit of oil at the top there, but it's all flavor. You can't go wrong with that. I make basically like a liquid chocolate peanut butter cup martini out of that.
Or peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, or I was doing a peanut butter and jelly, or what we called a PB&J, peanut bourbon and jelly.
Nice.
Just cook down some organic Concord grape juice until it was a syrup, and then a little of that, a little bit of simple syrup, a little squeeze of that Concord grape around the edges. Looks great, dripping down the edges, all that, and it tastes great too.
Wow. Michael, I see why you needed to bring him in.
Oh yeah,
right?
For sure.
It's I love anybody who can they can take their passion and they can take their talent, but they can also put that creativity level in there, and it's showing.
Well, one pleasant surprise for me with Corey was his creativity doesn't just apply to the cocktails; it also applies to the food. So Corey's made his own tweaks to some of our food items and made them better as well. So that was a nice surprise.
Awesome. See, I'm telling you, super team.
That may be part of why I make good cocktails, is because I cook a lot at home. And so I do, and my mom cooked all the time. She was always cooking. We never ate anything out of a box, basically. And so all my experience with food and drink has been fresh ingredients and amazing spices. And so I just try to translate that to what I do behind the bar.
Nice. Ben, I want to hear a little bit more from you, man.
No, it's all Corey here. I'm just behind the scenes. Corey's on stage. It's cool.
What the hell do you even do?
Why are you even here? I just deliver drinks to people that he makes.
So no, talk a little bit more. And so we know that you help. Do you continue to help to be able to curate the selection?
Yeah, one of my favorite things here, we started with about 110 whiskeys, was taking over the curation of this collection. We look at it as that. It's not just whiskeys, it's like an actual collection. Mm-hmm. We take great pride in like what we brought in and what we're offering to people. It's something different. I mean, we still have to work through the OLCC, so we can't go crazy and bring in exactly what we want. But working through their system, seeing what they have, learning actually how the OLCC works, because we have to order through them. We just like offering different stuff that you're not going to find here, especially here on the coast. It's very difficult to find some of this. There's another whiskey bar down in like Cannon Beach, Manzanita, so they're far enough away. It's not like competition, and the more people drinking whiskey on the coast, the better. But we love having different stuff.
Yeah, I think that when the first time I came in to the bar, I think I sat down and I just came up with the first whiskey, just random whiskey that I've never tried and was just super curious about. And I think it's called Hibiki.
Oh, the Hibiki Harmony.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to try Hibiki. And sure enough, here it was. And I don't remember, I think you might have grabbed it for me, Ben. And so and it's just, it's amazing. Like I imagine like most people can maybe name like 5 or 10 different whiskeys, right? Or you have a couple that you really kind of enjoy, and then you start getting like, the information starts getting a little fuzzy. To be able to just play around and go like, you know what, this sounds awesome, I want to try this, and then roll up in a shop and be able to try it.
Have it,
Yeah.
But we also just love people coming in, and we don't treat people like funny because they don't know. We're not snobs about it. Like no, it's so much whiskey education. It's such stories behind every bottle and everything that we want to promote that. We don't want you coming in and feeling funny or bad because you don't know more than 3 or 4 whiskeys. Like you tell me what you like. Me and Corey are both very good at being able to like, okay, well you've had that, we have that if you want it, but also maybe you'd like this. Like try this other one. Like let's move you in this direction a little bit.
Nice.
And the reason why Ben curates is because of his vast experience with whiskey. I don't know if we touched on that, but
Well, I was fortunate enough in 2015 to move to Scotland, and I got to live there for a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
And I got a job there, one, drinking whiskey and learning about whiskey just from living there. But I got a job at the place called the Scotch Whiskey Experience as a tour guide.
Wow.
So my job was to tell people all about Scotch, all about Scotland, and just really focus on that. And I just fell in love with it.
You went to the Scotch whiskey, like, Holy Land.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And loved it.
And I'm gonna go back just where you're talking about like how important it is that you don't want to treat anybody like they don't want to treat anybody like an asshole because they don't know a whole lot about whiskey, or making sure that you're providing an experience for them that they can really enjoy. I want to tell you guys, like, the moment that I knew that this place was going to be successful, about 6 months ago, you guys got a Google review for 2 stars, right? And so now,
That's my favorite review.
That's our best one.
we don't know which one you're talking about.
No, it would be the. We're not going to name the individual.
Was that your review?
No, it wasn't me. You guys, somebody responded to mine. Mine's sitting on there. But it's a. But we're not going to call the person out. You can go on Google and see it. They left their name. But did anyone here? Was it one of you guys who answered that?
Yeah, I did.
You did. And so as soon as I read that review, I knew that this place was going to be successful. Do you remember the review? Because I wrote it down and I have it right here.
Yeah, it said something the equivalent of great place.
He said nice place.
Nice place.
He gave
2 stars.
He gave a star for each word.
The fuck. Okay. And do you remember what you said back?
I think I said something to the effect of, we're glad you had a nice time and liked our place. Please tell us what we can do to earn those additional 3 stars.
Yeah, that was basically it. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Glad you liked it. Could you tell us how we can earn more than 2 stars from you? Thanks! ! And it was at that moment I'm like, this place is going to do all right, like, because on some real shit, a lot of businesses would look at that and go, "Fuck you, dude," and then just ignore it, right, or not respond to it, Or be like, you clearly thought it was a nice place with only 2 stars, Jack, or whatever, right? You guys genuinely care about the experience of the individuals who come in, right? You're genuinely trying to curate an experience for them here to make sure that they have an enjoyable time, that they're getting, potentially they're getting something new, right? That they're getting something that they didn't even know existed, right? And so I knew the moment that I read that review, right? Because anybody can respond nicely to 4 and 5 star reviews, which I think are the rest of them on there right now. But just the way that you guys handled that, yeah, I knew that you guys were going to be it. I knew you were going to be in it.
Well, now that 2-star review is a blessing, right? Because some people, when they look at reviews, they go to the worst reviews first.
Yeah.
And that's the worst review. Nice place.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 stars.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
No, I do. So I do social media management for an organization here in town, and that's the whole thing. Like anytime anybody leaves any sort of negative comment or anything like that, that's an opportunity for you to be able to show who you are, and you guys did. You did. So well done. Cheers. One of the things that we wanted to talk about just a little bit with the time that we've got left, Michael, was the lessons you took from tech and from previous ventures and how those business principles applied to whiskey, right? How much crossover did you experience?
A lot more than I expected, actually. You always have that fear that maybe you're out of your depth and this is a totally different business. What the hell am I doing, right? And then when you start putting some of those pieces of wisdom that you've gathered from previous experiences and apply it here, and you realize, wow, it's actually working. This is pretty cool. I'll give you a couple examples. We have a whiskey passport. I don't know if we have one here, but it encourages, it's a loyalty program essentially for customers, and it gives them an incentive to go through pretty much the entire collection and finish different categories, and they get stamps every time they get a cocktail, right? Every time they get a whiskey. And when they finish categories, they get a reward, and it's kind of a surprise for them, and it just makes it this fun, almost gamified adventure for people. It's good for us as a business because we're encouraging people to come back, and it's fun for them. They're getting, like you said, an experience.
Where did you use that particular model or that particular incentive previously?
I would just say any loyalty program you put in place with customers, and it can apply in brick and mortar, but in software too. If you use our software so often, you'll get a reward. If you refer friends, you'll get additional rewards. Just kind of making it more fun, tapping into the kind of reward center of the brain, if you will, to get people to interact with you more. Yeah,
because I can think I can think of quite a few friends and family who are like, nope, this is my drink. Just this one. This is it. This is all I do. This is the one I want. How often do you guys experience that?
Which is fine.
Like percentage of percentage of individuals who are like, this is what I want, versus explorers at heart.
Boy, I mean, even those people, I would say, branch out after they come in and do it 4 or 5 times in a row. They'll get the Lafroig. Now we want to try some Lagavulin, because we constantly push it on them that hey, you like that? Why don't you try this? Oh no, I just want my Lafroig. Well, how about now? Yeah. Oh, okay, maybe today.
Maybe they're afraid because they know they like that, so they get that. But if they come enough and they feel comfortable, and that's what we're trying to do is make people feel comfortable enough that it's okay. It's all right. Come ahead, we'll take you on this whiskey or cocktail adventure. It's okay.
And our flights are a great way to do that because then you get to try 3 different whiskeys at a time. And a lot of times that whiskey that they're obsessed with, that they don't get anything else but that, might be on the flight, and then they get 2 others to compare it with the one they like.
And we did a little thing different. If you look at our whiskey Bible, that's what we call it. It's got a lot of choices, and it's kind of overwhelming, right? So obviously these 2 guys help somebody guide them to the right solution, if you will. Yeah. But also we did something different as well. We added tasting notes to all the whiskeys. Usually when you go to a whiskey place, there's just this long list of names. I have no idea what to get. Yeah. So at least if you have an idea, hey, I kind of like caramel, I kind of like apple, you can actually go through our whiskey list and find the flavor profiles that you would most enjoy.
Yeah, we have people come in and literally say everything from the single flavor that they like to a region that they like or a cask finish that they like, and we can direct them from there. Even people who go, this is my first time in a whiskey bar, I've never drank whiskey before. I had one of those guys in here just 2 or 3 days ago, and he loved it. He loved all 3 of the whiskeys he had, and it was because he's a rum drinker that I pointed him towards our "Why's the Rum Gone" flight, which is our little joke towards was that
Little
movie?
Pirates of the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so it's all whiskeys finished in rum casks. And so he really enjoyed himself trying to have that little transition and crossover between what he usually drinks and his first whiskey experience.
Well, whiskey is such a broad term; it really means a lot. But people don't know that; they just think the term whiskey. But there's so many different directions and different flavor profiles you can go. And so for people to come in and like to trust us, to make them feel comfortable enough to like that. Like I've never had it, but I like rum, and then they get to flight and then they end up loving it. You know, that just feels so good.
Awesome.
Kind of teach these people these things, you know, to let them have that experience.
Or one of my favorite things is somebody comes in and goes, I don't like scotch. I hate scotch, no scotch. I pour them a little dram. What about this? Oh, I like that. Oh, that's scotch, my friend.
So, after all of this, I've learned two things from this conversation we've been having. Is one, trust your whiskey bartender, and two, I've been pronouncing Lagavulin wrong my entire life, and my whole life.
Well, we can thank Ben for the pronunciation here, because I still butcher it once in a while.
Wait until you get into the Glens.
So many Glens.
So many Glens. Glens for days.
Nice. So, with a little bit of time that we've got left, what I'd like to do is I'd like you guys to just like speak and provide some advice for individuals who might be thinking about opening a bar, who might be thinking about like maybe they want to be like a whiskey expert or a master bartender, or they want to open a bar, or a whiskey bar, or a shop, right? Because there's a lot of people like me. Like I wanted to open a bar. That was a dream. That was something that I really wanted to do, right? It didn't come around. I did other things, but there's a lot of folks that think about it. And for those folks that are just waiting for that little push or that little extra to be able to get them going, what advice would you have? Who wants to start? Michael.
Sure. I guess my advice also transcends just opening a bar too, quite frankly. And as this is somewhat generic advice, but everybody knows ideas are worth close to nothing. It's the execution that counts, and it's the execution and the details that really matter. But you also need passion, right? So if you got an idea and passion, you got to have that to start. That's your starting ingredient. But then beyond that, you have to question your own idea and question your assumptions. Like, a lot of times when we were talking about doing whiskey bar, people would say, we have enough bars in Astoria. And so my first response, though, was, well, we're not just opening another bar. No. We're doing something different. And you use the word experience. And that's what we're trying to do, is create a unique experience. Different service, consistently friendly, surprisingly hard to find, amazingly knowledgeable, and then
2 stars. Nice place.
You go down that list though. You got service, you've got the environment, right? That's everything from the design and just like the feel you get when you walk into a place, and then you've got the product assortment and selection. So you go down that list, you look at the rest of the marketplace, and you say, is this different? Is this what people are looking for? And then you can, and we validated that. We actually started asking people and measured, are our assumptions right about the rest of the marketplace? And then we was like, all right, let's go for it. So it wasn't just an idea. It wasn't just passion. It was making sure that the idea would, would stand the test of time and be unique and different from what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Because you can open up just another brewery in Astoria, but we have a ton of breweries already. You might have the passion. You might know how to make great beer. But if we've already got 7 breweries, you have to ask yourself, does the town want an 8th?
Yeah. And you can either be best or first, and you guys decided to be both. Corey.
I guess to build on what Michael was saying is to kind of know your clientele and what you're getting into and the area that you're working in. But also don't pigeonhole yourself into catering to those people. Like I said, the people who come in and they want the one thing, they want that one thing. Be willing to bend and try to bring people more options, I suppose, is what I would say, is take them out of their comfort zone if you can, and don't be hurt if they don't want to go out of it. Yeah, you got to have something for everybody. Comfort and uniqueness, I guess, is the kind of fine line we're trying to ride.
Cool. Ben?
All right.
Advice for any burgeoning whiskey experts out there?
I mean, just don't be afraid and just follow your passion and put yourself out there. And just like this, I heard about this place. I was talking with a friend at like a local coffee shop at 314, and it's kind of led this direction to here. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to look for things to happen, just to be part of the moment. And don't be afraid.
And I don't think we clarified this. I know that we talked about this before. I don't know that we clarified this. Corey and Ben, you guys are now co-owners.
Yes.
Of bars. Like you guys went from employee behind the bar to owning this as well.
Yes.
Yeah. How's it feel?
It's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
2020, right?
Yeah. So nice.
Once again, it was very unexpected. So this whole path, even when I moved to Astoria 2 years ago, there wasn't a whiskey bar. I was working at Fort George for a year while I just kind of waited and watched for things to happen, and this is what happened. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I guess we both kind of brought our passions to the project, and now it's coming to fruition that we're actually part owners and that
Rewarded for that passion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So real quick, last question in the amount of time that we've got left. How many individuals told you that this was a dumb idea?
I don't know if I have a number, but definitely more than a few.
They didn't use the word dumb, but there was kind of a roll of the eyes, and like I said, there's enough bars in Astoria. Why do we need another bar? And you could even see it on social media when the Daily Astorian article came out. Some of the comments were, "Oh, that's all we need is just another bar." And I wanted to reply, "It's not going to be just another bar," but you're right. You're going to get naysayers.
You need to reply. Showed them.
Yep.
And showed them.
Yeah. And so, no, just shutting out the naysayers.
Well, some people want to be just negative. People focus on negative. Astoria's not that big of a place, so people love the negative story. So to rise above and be like, we're not going to talk negative. We're just going to keep it up here, and we're just going to rise above that and keep going.
That's why you guys are killing it. Gentlemen, I am so grateful that you guys came out. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. I look forward to coming out again. For those of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we're going to be talking with Josh from Coffee or Waffle. Don't miss that one. Until then, get to it.